Good afternoon. So I'm going to be recording the lecture for the last chapter for our microeconomic topics. We left with one market structure, which is monopolistic competition, chapter 17. So this is a fairly short chapter. It should not take us long, maybe about 45 minutes of the recording. So let me share my screen and I'll talk about it on the other side. Okay, so the last market structure that is remaining. So we up to this point, we talked about monopolistic competition. We talked about monopoly. We talked about oligopoly. So this is going to be our last market structure, which is monopolistic competition. We're going to talk about it with reference to advertising. So just briefly, monopolistic competition is going to be kind of similar to perfect competition. This is going to be a market where there are many firms, but the firms under monopolistic competition do not sell exactly identical products. They're going to sell their products that can be differentiated. So every company tries very hard to try to slightly differentiate their product from other firms. And differentiation of the product can come through trademarks. It can come through branding, advertising, and many other forms. Okay. So here's going to be the objective of or the outline of this chapter. We'll talk about sources of product differentiation under monopolistic competition. And then we're going to talk about the monopolistic competition model itself. And we'll wrap it up by talking about the economics of advertising. Why do firms advertise under this type of market structure? Why do they really involve in advertising? And then, of course, some key takeaways, as always. So here's the introduction. So monopolistic competition combines some features of competitive markets with some features of monopoly. That's why we call it monopolistic competition. So it's a market with many sellers. So that is what we also found. That's one of the key features of a competitive market. There's free entry and exit. That is also a common feature of competitive markets. The only difference here is that monopolistic competition can product differentiate. So it looks as if their product look a little bit unique, kind of like a monopoly type, but it's not. They just, they do a little bit of branding and, trademarks and other ways that they can make their product a little bit slightly different from the rest of their competitors. So the monopolistic competitors face a downward sloping demand curve, just like in the other market structure that we talk about, a monopoly and what? An oligopoly. So the definition here that this is a market with a large number of firms selling similar but not identical products. Okay. Under perfect competition fund is a perfect competitive farm industry is comprised of firms selling, many firms selling similar products, similar or identical products. I want to show you, let's look at the market like of cola products. You see Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola. Can you tell the difference? Of course, you can see the way they are packaged. The trademarks are different. But once we pour both of those cola products in a glass like that, can you still tell the difference? Probably not. It's hard to tell the difference between Coca-Cola and Pepsi Cola if you just see it in a glass. Nobody told you that, oh, that glass is full of Coca-Cola, that one is full of Pepsi Cola. If nobody tells you that, you cannot tell immediately just by looking at a glass full of those two types of sodas, you can't tell which one is which. But of sure, you can tell it from the can. Okay, that, because of the labeling, the trademarks, those kind of stuff, the branding. Okay. So let's discuss the sources of product differentiation here. So products can be differentiated along any dimension that people care about, such as taste, style, features, and location. Like we know, even cola products, Coca-Cola tastes slightly different than Pepsi Cola. They don't taste the same, you know that. And products can be differentiated by location or by ease of purchase. For example, the milk that is sold at 7-Eleven and at the grocery store is the same milk. Okay? The only difference is that customers pay slightly more at 7-Eleven for convenience. That let's say I'm driving home from work and there's a 7-Eleven gas station next to my house, and HEB is maybe 5 miles away. It's convenient for me to pick the meal from 7-Eleven and just go home instead of driving again another 5 miles to go look for HEB milk. You know what I mean? Okay, so sometimes it's about location as well. And then differentiated products are often highly advertised. So under this industry, you're gonna find firms trying really, really hard to convince consumers through advertisement. They advertise a lot, okay, to kind of try to appeal to the customers or to show consumers that the products are different from those of their competitors. So firms want consumers to perceive their products as different and better because that increases the firm's market power. That's what it is. So again, a small check, self-check for yourself. Under monopolistic competition, we know that the answer is, there are many firms. Okay. So let's talk about the model itself. A monopolistically competitive firm can reduce output and raise the price without losing all of its customers. Well, once the firms or the firm is able to product differentiate, try to show customers that they are slightly different from their competitors, then they can play a little bit with the price. They can raise the price by reducing output. So the product differentiation means that the firm is able to charge the price which is a markup above marginal cost. So the price they charge is kind of similar to what monopolies charge, but the price for monopolistic competition is not going to be as high as the price that monopolies charge, but it's still going to be a price above marginal cost. It also means that a firm does not produce at the minimum of its average cost curve. That's right. The firm is not going to be able to produce at the lowest average cost. Why? Because a firm needs to spend a lot of money advertising for its product to kind of try to distinguish its product from the rest of the other firm products. And that raises the cost of production, making the average cost not be at its minimum. So in the longer run, though, customers are better off because of new features and products. Okay, because we're going to get now numerous firms selling similar but not exactly the same product, but the firms are going to hustle so hard to try to product differentiate. So let's look at the demand curve under the monopolistic competition. Again, it's kind of similar to monopoly and oligopoly. The marginal revenue is always going to be below the demand curve. So here's a demand curve facing a monopolistic competitive market. And then the marginal revenue, which slopes downwards. So you can see the marginal cost curve is not flat, it's upward sloping. Okay. For every additional unit that a monopolistic competitive firm produces, it comes with a higher cost. That's why the marginal cost keeps rising there. So how do we determine profit? So the profit maximizing condition under any market structure, let me reiterate this, it's always the same. The profit if I want to know where the firm is maximizing profit, the first thing I determine, profit is maximized at a point where marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. Okay, that is true under monopoly. It was true under perfect competition. It was true under oligopoly. So profit maximizing condition is when marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. So in this graph, I'm going to look at a point where the marginal cost curve and marginal revenue cost, so marginal revenue curves intersect, which is this point. So after I locate that point of intersection, that determines my profit maximizing output. And then what I will do, I'm going to draw a line from that point of intersection to the average cost curve. That is going to make me determine the total cost. So this rectangle here, down here, which is not shaded, this white rectangle that I'm kind of cycling here, that is going to be your total cost of producing this profit maximizing output Q. Because the average cost is a cost that a firm incurs for every unit of the good that it produces. So for every unit, this is your average cost. But the firm is producing Q units. So to get the total cost, you multiply the cost per unit, which is the width of this rectangle, times the length of this rectangle, which is this what? This Q. So that would be your what? Your total cost. The total, how do I get total revenue? The total revenue from the profit maximum after you have discovered a point where marginal cost equals to marginal revenue and you have located this profit maximizing output, you're going to draw the line from that point of intersection between marginal cost and marginal revenue up to the demand curve, because the price is determined on the demand curve. And then if you read across, that's going to be the price that they're going to be selling that product. So that means the area of the bigger rectangle, which includes the shaded green, and the part in this big triangle here, because we know that revenue equals to price times quantity, which in this case, that's revenue. But we talk about total cost is going to be this total revenue. Total cost is given as you multiply what? Because this is your average cost. On the average cost curve, here, you read the average cost. It's going to be average cost times the quantity produced. Okay, which is this rectangle here. So that you all know that profit is the difference between total revenue minus total cost. Total cost, so the big rectangle is your total revenue. The small rectangle, which is unshaded, which is the white, that is total cost. So the remainder is the shaded green, not triangle, rectangle. The shaded small green rectangle remaining up here, that will be the profit that accruing to this monopolistic firm. Okay? So monopolistic competitive firm, because there's free entry, they are able to make what they call economic profit. Okay, or non-zero, the profit is going to be more than zero. But in the long run, because of free entry, in the short run, because when other firms see that there's profit in this industry, because there's free entry and exit, then many firms are going to see this as an opportunity. Many new entrants are going to start entering the market. As more and more entrants, people enter the market, there's going to be competition. So in the long run, profit is going to get wiped away. So all firms under monopolistic competition do not make any profit. They make what they call zero economic profit. They just break even. Because as new entrants join the industry, the profit that used to exist in the short run gets shared away by the many firms in the industry. Okay? And of course, when so many firms start to join the industry, that is going to increase the demand for raw material goods. So it's going to be more and more expensive to produce in that industry. So the profit, the available, and then firms are even going to be there's going to be too much pressure to advertise. So the cost is going to go up. That's going to wipe out the profit that used to exist. So in the long run, firms only what? Break even. Okay, you see the average cost curve. How do I know that the point of price? So first of all, I'll determine in the long run, I determine my profit maximizing condition where marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. And then I'll determine my long run output here by drawing a line from that point of intersection. I read this is a profit maximizing long run output as many entrants join the industry. And then you can see in this case, your average cost curve is drawn tangent on the demand curve. See, they're passing through the same point here. So what does that tell you? That if I draw now a line from the point of intersection to my demand curve, that is just the point where the average cost curve is. Okay, it's meaning that the total cost of production at this point, okay, this rectangle here not only represents total revenue, it also represents total cost, meaning that total cost equals to total revenue. In the long run, total cost equals to total revenue. So profit is what? Zero. That's called zero economic profit. Firms only what? Make zero economic profit. This is what we call abnormal profit, when your profit is greater than zero. You can only do that. That only happens in the short run. But because this market is characterized by free entry and exit, as other people see that there's profit opportunity in this industry, they're going to try to join too and begin producing in that industry. So then eventually that profit gets shared away and there's no profit margin in the long run. So let me talk. So in the short run, firms under monopolistic competition make abnormal profit, okay? Or what then in the long run, they're gonna make only what we call normal profit. Normal profit is also called zero economic profit, meaning that the firms only break even. Total cost equals to total revenue in the long run. So in the long run, comparative and monopolistically comparative firms produce where price equals to average cost in the long run. And they all earn what? Zero profit. So firms under monopolistic competition charge prices above marginal cost, but they produce a smaller quantity compared with comparative firms. So Q star is not at a minimum average cost. Remember that in the short run. Under comparative markets, comparative firms, they all produce exactly the same product, so they are perfect substitutes for each firm's products. As a result, the demand curve is perfectly elastic under perfect competition. Production quantity is higher than under monopolistic competition because firms cannot product differentiate under perfect competitive industry. Output is at the point that minimizes average cost. That's not the case with monopolistic competition, okay? So we can compare these. See the difference? So under monopolistic competition, see, in the short run, you can see that eventually, okay, no, this is actually long run. In the long run, you can see that the point of production is where your average cost has not reached its minimum. Under perfect competitive market, you see this is your average cost, which is downward sloping, then it reaches its minimum, then it starts rising. So firms under perfect competitive market produce at a point where it's at their minimum average cost. Meanwhile, firms under perfect monopolistic competitive industry, they produce at a point where the average cost is not at this minimum. Okay. So here's going to be some takeaways, some self-check. So firms in which of the following markets will produce at the minimum AC, minimum average cost? That is, of course, competition. Firms under perfect competition produce at the minimum average cost. Okay. Monopolistic competition is going to produce at a point where the average cost is relatively higher. So the firms that sell undifferentiated goods don't advertise very much. That's right. Benefits from advertising would flow mostly to other firms in the same industry. Milk, pork, and cotton are exceptions. The government requires firms in these industries to pay a special tax that pays for the advertising. The industry as a whole benefits. Okay. Monopolies are also unlikely to advertise. If you're a monopoly firm, you don't have to advertise. You're the only firm in the industry. You're the only firm producing a unique product that nobody else produces. So why would you waste time, resources advertising? Customers are going to look for you because you're the only one. Why would a company producing the only electric company in your hometown, why would they advertise for their product? They're the only one, So, all the market, they have all the market to themselves. Okay, so monopoly firms typically don't advertise. But there's heavy advertising under monopolistic competition because they're trying to product differentiate. So firms with differentiated products are the most likely to advertise because they want more customers. They can advertise their specific product rather than the industry category. See? One reason that advertising increases sales is because it informs consumers about price, quality, and availability. But evidence indicates that advertising lowers prices and improves consumer welfare. Advertising can also signal that the seller expects the product to be a success. Those are some of the things we see under monopolistic competition when it comes to advertising. Okay. Persuasion can give us tastes that appear silly or unjustified sometimes. When firms are over-hustling to advertise, sometimes they may create an appearance, and the taste might appear just silly. Persuasion can also deepen our enjoyment and our memories. In a blind test, subjects were given labeled and unlabeled glasses of Coke. They reported greater enjoyment from drinking the beverage labeled Coke. Brain scans showed activity in the memory regions of the brain. Can you believe that? Persuasive advertising can create market power by brand differentiation. We know that. It can allow companies to differentiate their products from the rest of their competitors, even though the products look very similar. This can be through branding, trademarks, and other forms. Advertising also helps people enjoy a lot of products. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are all free to consumers because of advertising. Remember that. So here's some key takeaway. This is a fairly short chapter. So a monopolistically competitive industry has many sellers, free entry, and differentiated products. Each firm retains a downward sloping demand curve and price remains above marginal cost. So under monopolistic competition, firms are able to charge a price which is a markup over marginal cost. There's also free entry. The free entry drives down price to a level which is equivalent to the marginal cost of producing the good. But firms do not produce at the minimum average cost in perfect competitive market. We already talked about that. Advertising can inform consumers about price, quality, and availability. We talked about that. Advertising can also increase perceptions of product differentiation, which allows firms to increase. So this concludes our discussion about all microeconomic topics that we want to cover in this class is now complete. Okay? You have your midterm exam too, I believe is next week. I think it should be on Monday or Tuesday. You should start studying that midterm exam. Okay, my exam for this class is clearly mentioned in your syllabus. It's non-cumulative. Okay? So whatever I tested you on exam 1 will not appear on the second midterm. Your second midterm is going to cover chapters 9, 11, 13, 15, and 17. Okay? So I would start studying right away, especially this weekend, throughout the weekend for the second midterm next week. Okay? I'm also going to be assigning quiz number 4 and homework number 4 sometimes tonight, which I'll make it due over the weekend, towards the weekend. Okay? Thank you very much. I'll talk to you guys soon. So next time I record a lecture is now going to be on macroeconomic topics. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Bye.